Tiny Toys Tuesdays. Hey, we're on episode 40. That's cool.
Whoop.
Uh,
4-0.
we're continuing the journey through chaos. We got a big show. We got a 3-faction show today. We're doing Tzeentch, Slaanesh, and Nurgle. So it's gonna be pretty crazy. I guess we'll just start. James, welcome back. What have you been up to? You getting ready for Worlds?
I was just in a meeting yesterday to go over accommodations and planning for that. I was also considering going to the Gateway Open this weekend, but I still haven't set on an army that I want to work with this season because I'm still kind of in limbo waiting for the first
FAQ.
FAQ to come out.
That's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure exactly what I want to play. And other than that, just been playing a lot of, single events, or not single events, but
RGTs.
Mostly just like, meetups with the local community to try to play some games and figure out what armies I'm feeling. It's just I really think I want that first FAQ before I settle in on something.
Yep, understood.
Agreed.
That's kind of where I'm at. I played OBR for the singles event, the big 125 singles event in Cali, which was fun. It was a good time. I hated that our team played so much of each other, but it is what it is. I'm kind of just waiting for the FAQ. I did a game. What was it 2 or 3 days ago against Zach's Trogs essentially, and I got the first taste of Trogs, and I will say it is completely not fun to play against at all.
Have you not faced Trogs
I
before?
have not. That was the first time, and now I understand what I did. So I took 40 Blitzbarb archers, and I shot 120 times. I'm not even joking. I shot 120 times. And
And
out
you
of
did
that entire round, I killed one rocket. And that's
That sounds about right.
170 points, and I killed one rocket. It's
Mhm.
almost to the point where it's like I just don't want to play anything until they nerf that army, because it is extremely oppressive. Luckily, I haven't played against Night Hunt. I know you have, Camaron. I know that's also pretty oppressive right now as well, but I'm just kind of hoping that they fix some of this stuff, because if I go to a tournament and everyone's just running Trogs, it's like, why am I here? Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Cameron, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I've been building lots of models because I have like 3 lists that I've come prepared to play for Smite. Because I've been given the go ahead that I'm allowed to play at Smite.
Yep.
And I have some of our other friendly neighborhood House of Hobbies that are going to be TOs instead of me.
Me being one of them.
Yeah. Yep.
Also, I just want to throw that out there too. A big shout out to Colt from House of Hobbies, who got second at the Old Town. He will be joining James for Worlds, so good for that. Hopefully, Cameron, you can, or at least someone from House of Hobbies can win the Smite tourney and also join James and Colt. That'd be good.
Yeah, come join us at Smite.
What are the 3 lists, Cameron? I'm gonna guess. Night Hunt, Lumineth. What's the third one? Is it Ogres?
No, it's Soulblight.
Okay.
Soulblight's really good.
Yeah, Soulblight's in a good spot right now.
Soulblight's just really good at just getting points.
Yeah.
Do they match up well? I mean, again, we don't know when the FAQ is going to come out and what that's going to look like, but do they match well into Rock Guts?
By match up, you mean running away really well? Yes.
Or coming back.
Yeah.
They can outscore Trogs. They can't kill Trogs.
Yeah, it was pretty
that's like
eye-opening.
the ogres is about the only thing I'm looking at for killing Trogs.
All right, you would think so.
Yeah, Cameron's had this matchup quite a bit.
I think I've fought like 5 Trog lists so far. 4 of them being with ogres, and I've won once.
They're really bad, man. They're really bad. Like, it's...
Who knew that 6 Trogs could survive a double Iron Gut attack.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Like their survivability is insane. It's pretty crazy. And the thing with rockets too is right. Like they like it's hard to kill them, but they also hit like a truck too. Like they do quite a bit of damage.
The thing that always gets me is when I do kill them, they always come back.
They always come back. Yep. Yeah. It is. It's a pretty oppressive army. So hopefully they'll get that changed and worked out.
How do you fix that? Do you just stop the recursion, or
yeah, just
do
points.
you...
I think if you
Points?
point rockets to like 210, you're gonna drop
They can't-
off a unit for sure.
Yeah, they don't get the support that they need.
Yeah.
It goes from being in a really, really oppressive mob to you playing around them because they can't take all the objectives.
Yeah, and like you're gonna like you said, you're gonna lose a lot of your support pieces. Like you're gonna have to do something with the I think most of the Trog units go up. So I don't think it'll just be rockets. I think it'll be a combination of a couple things. But yeah, once you start pointing that efficiently, I mean, it's still going to be a really good army, but at least it's not oppressive, I don't think. So we'll see.
Yeah, because just taking away 3 Trogs is by itself pretty rough on them.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, enough about Trogs. I'm sick of talking about Trogs. Let's get out of here. Out of this Trogs. Henry might be joining us. We'll see if he jumps on. I know he said he was interested, so we'll see. Let's get into the Smite GT. It's always funny to do this slide with James on here because we took this over for James, so we do appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, it's we got some peeps coming. Again, it's a gold ticket qualifier, so you can go to Worlds if you can manage to win out on everyone. But yeah, come sign up. I think we've got 35 right now, 35, 36. So not too bad. I
expect that to jump up.
Yeah, me too. The one thing, it's really funny. I was talking to Matt on this, who runs the 40K side. Well, he's the whole event organizer, but he's like, there's such a big difference between 40K and AOS people because 40K you get a bunch of people that sign up way early and then drop, whereas AOS people we sign up way late. We're always like the last minute signups. So I'm sure that'll jump up quite a bit. So
it does every time.
Yeah, it does.
People are crossing their fingers for an FAQ.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have two weeks out before we cut off the FAQ requirement for Smite. So
yeah, that's one of the things that actually came up a number of times over at OTTD was that people were like, I don't want to go to big tournaments before we have an FAQ because you see the exact same list every single time.
Yep. And it's only going to get worse the longer that goes because more people are going to use Nighthawk, more people are going to use Ogres, more people are going to use Luminath, right?
Yeah. And it just makes all the people playing like Beasts of Chaos or like
just
funner armies just not be able to play.
Maggotkin of Nurgle, we'll get there. Yeah. So come to Smite. And give us an FAQ. Tier list explanation, again, just a quick overview on this. I always like going through this. This isn't like an in-depth review of all these armies. I recommend going to Warhammer Weekly, or there's a bunch of outlets that do more in-depth reviews. We're pretty much doing what we like, what we don't like, and what we think overall in the army. So that's kind of just our tier list explanation. All right, let's get into Tzeentch, boys. Okay, I'll start with the overview, and then you guys tell me what I missed or what I need to add, or what I miss or what I'm wrong on here. Lots of changes from the last edition. This is a much different playing army than it used to be. It used to be very mortal wound heavy, wizard heavy. Like, I'm just gonna mortal wound you to death. It's much more chip damagey now, I think, I would say. Everything revolves around a burning mechanic that is much like 3rd edition Nurgle disease. It's very similar to that, with a couple exceptions, obviously, and we'll get there. I definitely think there's some internal balance issues here. There's just some things in the book that are really bad and some things in the book that are really good. I think you're going to see, when you see Tzeentch list, you're going to see a lot of the same things. At least that's my take. And then you do have a lot of fast units in this book. I think the discs are like 14-inch move base. So there's a lot of ways to get objectives and battle tactics and stuff. So that's my generalized overview. I mean, we'll get into the battle traits and stuff, but James, we'll start with you. Anything I missed?
I would just say that two points I want to put out. This is not a new player list or army.
Yes.
I do a lot of teaching of the game as well as showing people different armies, and I've got a new player who's picked this army up and is trying to work it, and he struggles. And if you're a new player and you're looking to get in and you like the idea of Tzeentch, I'm just cautioning you not. I'm not saying don't get it, but you're not. It's really hard because a lot of the concepts of the game don't kind of hold up to Tzeentch. And then the other thing I would say is this army, it has a bag of tricks that are not standard.
Yes.
You're not going to play this army like you would pretty much anything else.
Yep.
You got to really wrap your mind around all of the tricks. I feel like this is a very big control army that can do a little bit of damage, but you really want to control the board with this army.
Yeah, 100%. I would also just tag along in that and saying one of our club members, Jed, he is a very big Tzeentch fan, and even he, with the new index, it's taken him a long time to kind of get through things. He's good at it now because he's played it so much now, but when he first jumped into this after the 3rd edition, there was some struggles that he was having for this as well. So
out of all the armies that the game has, I think Tzeentch is the one army that has the most combos out of everything. Almost every single unit in the entire faction combos off of something else in one way or another.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, I agree with that. I haven't got through all the indexes, but so far I would agree with you on that. Yeah.
And it's like literally everything has a combo to do with something else. And if you are able to find that combo and be able to exploit it, they work really well.
Yeah.
But like the units by themselves are kind of bland unless you have something else with it.
Yep, I agree. 100%. I couldn't say it better myself. That's exactly how I feel as well. All right.
So like you'll look at Warscrolls by themselves and be like, nah, this Warscroll's crap. And then you look at it combined with something else and you're like, okay, never mind, I take everything back.
Yep. Pinks, I'm looking at you. All right, let's go into the battle traits. All right. So again, they still have the Masters of Destiny. You still get the Destiny dice. I don't think there were any changes to the Destiny dice. The only thing I know is you can't. There's only one way to get them back, and it's not a good way.
Yep.
And then in that same way, you can manipulate the dice and try to like re-roll the dice. But for the most part, it's not like the old book where you could cast a spell and get more Destiny dice. Like these are a lot more precious than they used to be.
Which I really like. Like the Destiny dice is a very powerful mechanic,
Yeah.
and whenever I see something, it's more of you're going to bank this until I really need it, because like it's really hard to get more.
Yes, very hard. I only know there's only one way I know that you can get more. And it's
there's only one way to do it, and it requires you to have 0.
And honestly, that is the worst. Isn't that the worst spell lore? Isn't that the awful spell lore that you're never going to take? Yeah. So essentially, you're never getting Destiny dice back. Let's go over the burning mechanic. So their entire shtick now, their entire mechanic, battle mechanic is this mechanic with burning. And essentially, you'll have many things that shoot or spells that target something that will essentially give that unit burning. And with burning, they will get a -1 to wound, both melee and shooting. And it can be extremely powerful. I think we're new
the
players.
-1 to wound is a battle formation, if I remember correctly.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. That's the one I'm probably always taking then. If you don't take that, what you do is you essentially just burn them at the end of the turn on a 2-up.
Yeah. The bad thing is if on a 2-up, if you roll a 1, it goes away.
Yes. Yep.
And because you can only give burning in any shooting phase, which means the good thing is that you can do it with cover fire because almost all the ranged attack has the weird flame roll.
Yep.
But you can use, for the most part, you can only ever give 1 burning per turn.
There are other ways that you can do that, but for the most part, it is only 1. If you're really building into the burning mechanic, there's multiple ways to do it. But and essentially, if you are building into the burning mechanic, you're going to take that battle formation that does -1 to wound, and you'll never use the chip damage. Because the -1 to wound is a lot better holistically than it is for chip damage. So,
yeah. And like the burning mechanics, at the end of any turn, you get to do the D3 damage, which you don't have to do it.
You do not
So
have
you can
to.
hold it for later, or to continue the -1 to wound, or you can go ahead and say, I really need this damage. I'm going to gamble
Correct.
to be able to deal damage to someone.
And then the last thing with this too, the thing that I think is best about this mechanic is the fact that if it works just like the disease rolls for Nurgle last edition, anytime you try to heal, it's actually even better than that. Anytime you use a healing ability, so if you're using Rally and you get 4 or 5 in there, it doesn't matter. You either heal or you remove the burning keyword. So you literally just soak up healing abilities like crazy, which I think is very good in this edition.
Which is hilarious if you go with Lord Croak, who heals 18 at the end of every turn, but then he just doesn't.
He just doesn't, yep. James, anything else we missed from the battle traits?
I would say when I first saw these battle traits, I was a little underwhelmed with the burning mechanic.
Same.
And I still feel like I wish there was a better way to spread burning than once per turn. I wish there was like with the Nurgle disease spread, like a choice. Like if a unit is close to another unit, then you could spread the flames.
Sure.
Other than that, though, I just think that there's so much other stuff in their toolbox that it's not a big deal as when I first saw it. And the only thing I would say is on the passive, on the quenching the flames, it doesn't give you the option. If they're going to heal or return, they have to remove the burning first. So it's not
it's not a choice.
Not a choice.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, that's good. That's even better. I like that even better. So that's good. Nice. Okay, that's good to know. I'm assuming I know we're not. This isn't Nurgle, but I'm assuming Nurgle's the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
My only complaint is that burning goes away on a 1. I think that should actually you should just stay burning.
That's another reason why I think the spreading is much better. Like, because if you spread it to like 3 or 4 units and you roll that 1, you're not like out of all of your burning.
That entire battle trait mechanic that you had is now gone. It does feel bad. It's a big feel bad. I know Jed's done this multiple times and like rolled the 1 twice, and it's like, oh, sorry, buddy, you're just making your burning.
All my buffs are gone.
Yeah. And that's why when we go into the battle formations, that's why I think taking the -1 to wound rolls, the Weird Flame Host, is extremely good. -1 to wound in this edition is real good. And that's probably the one I'm running. That being said, Arcanaut Cabal is also really, really good. Your main purpose in this army is still to cast spells, so being able to do that for free is pretty good. Zangor Coven is garbage, at least in my opinion. I mean, it's okay, but the other ones are so much better. And then the Change Host is fine. It's a once per battle. It's not great because you still have to roll a 3-up. I'm either choosing Cabal or Host, most likely, the Weird Flame Host. Thoughts on these?
What is it? The Change Host one. It's just a teleport, right?
It's not even a teleport, right? Because you still have to. It's basically like a jump. It's like you still have to be in the same combat.
I would like it better if you could just do it
Yeah.
instead of on a 3-up.
Well, and not only
Yeah.
would I like that, but I like it just let me teleport, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
like all you're doing is you're taking, like you're picking up your unit and moving it a little bit and setting it down. Like what? That's your battle formation ability, and it's once per
Well,
battle.
it's like so you can jump behind a line,
Sure, but like
which is it's just kind of reminiscent like second edition. That's like Tzeentch's big shtick. You would kill the pinks, and then the blues would spawn within 6 inches, which was behind
sure
the enemy, and
sure.
build a huge line. The thing on this one, though, I think the only one here is I think after a couple of FAQs or so, we might see Coven get a little more love, because I think once I feel like we kind of go in cycles, and I feel like if a shooting meta was to start to develop, having more dice for a rally to bring back more Zangors could see some play. Not in a current state,
Yeah.
but maybe in the
Yeah.
future.
What I see the change host is you take a pack of 20 blues, and then you put them in combat, and then by the way it's worded, you can just potentially just put their entire army in combat,
Sure, you could. Yeah, you absolutely
which is
could.
just for on a 3-up, which really sucks because it's once per battle. On a 3-up, you can tie your entire enemy's army in combat,
which
which
is cool,
is not bad at all.
but I'm not taking it.
Oh yeah,
And
not
I'm
for
ser-
not for a 3-up on a
once per battle. I mean, come on, Games Workshop. Like,
yeah.
let's do better than that, right? Let's do better than that. Maybe on a 2-up, maybe. But like, come on, a 3-up.
The thing is like that can like absolutely destroy an opponent for one turn.
Yeah.
And so like it's a really, really powerful ability.
Yeah.
So I could see why they don't want it to make it 100%.
Still
It
once
sucks
per
that
battle,
it's not. It sucks that it's not 100%, but
Yeah.
I could see why.
Yeah.
All right, traits. These are okay. They're pretty good, pretty decent. Illusionist is the one that I would take. This is one that Zed used against me, and it's really good. Just subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks target friendly while they're in this unit's combat range. Friendly units
good.
wholly within that are wholly within this unit's combat range. So it's basically a bubble of -1 to hit, which is really good. It's really, really good.
Ah, holy within. That's different.
Yep.
He didn't do the holy within with me.
He
Gosh darn
cheated
Jed.
you. He cheated you.
Yep.
And then the Cult Demigod is fine. It's okay. It's gonna be rare. Maybe not rare, but it's just swingy, right? Just a swingy mechanic. Yeah, and next is the
I don't
Fate.
like any of them.
I don't really like it. The
Yeah.
Illusionist is the only one that I
Fair.
would take. Illusionist is the only one I would
Yeah, and it's terrible because it's 3 inches wholly within.
take. I know.
So you need a big base. So you want it on a Lord of Change,
Yep.
who's terrible. So you're not taking him anyways.
Don't tell Jed that. He did take a Lord of Change, but
It's
I
a-
agree. I do agree with you.
It's
a
-1 to
trap.
hit. It's -1 to hit a Lord of Change.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it is.
I will say Jed's army that he did take, like the debuffs add up, man. Like I was like -2 to hit, -1 to wound. Like it was tough to just chew through that army with the debuffs. All right, so we'll move on to artifacts. These are kind of like the same as heroic traits. They're meh, you know. The 9-eyed tome is good. I like the +1 to banishment is pretty good, especially with the current meta we have right now. And then the once per battle, sure, that's fine. I hate that it's once per battle, but yeah. And then melee.
I like the
burning.
weird flame blade just because it's one of the few ways to
Yeah, but
actually
what
give
are-
flaming.
What are you putting that on? Like maybe a thermitage or whatever the thing is.
There's fast guys on discs. Like you still have the
Yeah,
melee lord on the disc. Like put it on
sure.
him. All you need to do is A damage.
At the end of the day, I don't like really any of these. I'd probably take that 9-eyed tome just because.
I would say don't sleep on +1 to cast rolls. But manifestations are so big. Spells are so big, especially in this army. I think a +1 to cast is a really good artifact
I do too.
in this army.
Oh yeah, I agree, but I like the idea of some random guy that's a wizard with a sword flying forward and hitting things.
I would be there too if it wasn't so expensive to take a hero just to do that, because you have to take a
Fair.
drop, and
You could do this with. Oh no, you can't because it's unique. Never mind. Nope.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm sick with 9
Oh yeah, you're always going to see it.
Yeah, I know.
But I love the idea of like a Lord of Change going into melee.
That's one of the things I said too with the overview. The internal balance of this book is kind of it's not great. Spell lore. This is the one lore that you'll never take. We should just skip this, but
Why are we not taking this?
because the other lore is so much better, I think.
This is what the Lore of Fate.
This is Lore of Fate. This is one where you can get the extra Destiny dice if you don't have any, and you can change your Destiny dice, which is fine. You also get the Shield of Fate, which is really good. 5 up ward. This is basically all based on how many Destiny dice you have left, and you get like a little bonus.
Yeah, so it's really it's all about buffing your own people, doing a little bit more damage if you haven't used your Destiny dice, but you're gonna use your Destiny dice, and then the thing where like you get more is only if you have 0, so it's not really worth it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think lore change is just so much better.
I hate any mechanic that even suggests that I don't use my Destiny dice. Hence, I would never use the spell lore.
Yeah, I think the other one is just so much better that you're just not going to use this. And I wish Shield of Fate was on the other one, but I guess you can't have everything. I think Shield of Fate is great, but it's
They had to give at least one. Good
I know.
one.
All right, so let's go to the one that you are going to take, lore change, which is obviously the one you're going to take. The unlimited is just a D3 damage, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. 18-inch
You mean
unlimited.
my spellcasting army can just do an 18-inch D3 damage in the hero phase?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Oh man.
It also is Weird Flame too, so they're going to get burning as well. And then Fold Reality is a teleport spell that also works in combat, which is really, really good. So this is essentially what you do, and we'll get to the changeling, but that's this little goober. You throw him out right in the way. You throw you do the Chaos Spawn ability, which is the transform to spawn, and you auto cast it so it can't be unbound. You put everything in combat with the stupid Chaos Spawn. And then in your turn, when they say, "Oh, I'm going to kill your changeling," you teleport this little bastard out. And you denied him a battle tactic, and you've kept them all in combat with the stupid Chaos Spawn. Ask me how I know. So that's kind of the
That's
thing.
Tzeentch, baby.
Yeah, that's Tzeentch. That's what they'll do to you.
So
very good.
comparing it to the other one has some defense abilities. You can make a 6 for one of your fate dice.
Sure.
While this one has damaging, teleportation, and road blocking with damaging.
Right. So like, obviously
So
you're
good.
taking this one.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And sevens.
I mean, transform to spawn is probably the best spell in the game that I've seen so far.
I
It
was
is
just about to
little
say that. It's really
It
good.
is a little situational because there will be armies that you play that you're just never going to use this on, like ogres. It's probably never going to happen. OBR is probably never going to happen unless you're using like Mortec. But most armies you play against, this is really, really good.
I mean, you say that, but if I wanted to kill an ogre, I just hit it twice with Bolt of Tzeentch, and then I would
then you
throw
transform it.
No,
Exactly.
I know, but you're putting a lot. Sure, you're just putting a lot into that. This is going to work way better in an army like with Blitzbarb archers.
Yeah.
Again, ask me how I know. So very good spell lore. This is the one you're going to take, and it's good. It's really, really good. Tzeentch Manifestations. These are
Next.
not good. Yeah, they're just
Move
gonna.
along.
They're just bad, and you just go with Morbid, and you call it a day. Bad.
Yeah.
They're just bad. We'll just move on. Hero Warscrolls. Okay, so let's go with the one that you're probably always going to see in the lists. Probably Kairos. He's just pretty much going to be in every list because he's that good. He's the only one that gets the double or the change the lowest to the highest spellcasting thing. No longer just the lower change to get it.
So you're always just going to succeed almost every spell.
And he's got an incredibly good ability to redo a battle tactic, which I cannot stress is super good. Funny story about this though. Jed's failed this twice. But anyway, but yeah, the obviously Kairos is going to be in there. Lord of Change, I still think will be in lists, but he's a lot worse than he used to be.
Yeah.
It's the recursion. He's basically your demon that gets demons back on a 4-up. So he's like your kind of like the other demon generals, I guess you could say. So I can see him getting stuff back, and that's one of the reasons why you take him. But he's definitely not as good as he used to be, for sure.
I mean, he just, when I'm looking at what Kairos brings versus the Lord of Change, it's just shockingly different.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
how much better Kairos is.
Yeah.
If it's between the two, you're always going to choose Kairos.
Well, yeah, and then so that's almost always where you're going to start your list building too. You're going to go, all right, I have Kairos.
Now what?
Now what do I build with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the Lord of Change is, I mean, he's a 2-cast, but he's got no bonuses. He lost his plus to cast. He lost his dice change.
Yep.
I mean,
he's not good in combat.
Kairos gives +1 to everybody else, +1 to himself, changes dice. It's just, I don't even think with the bringing back demons, like, it's even worth it. There's just nothing here. The artifacts aren't good enough to justify it. The hero traits aren't good enough to justify it. He's just a big walking dump of points that you're not going to use.
But think of it this way. Whenever we get to horrors, now try to kill all those horrors
And then kill
1.5 times.
Yeah. I do agree. I most lists that I see both Kairos and Lord of Change, but I can see if you didn't want to bring Lord of Change, I see that you'd be justified in saying that. I will say his Firestorm can be decent. It does quite a bit of damage, but
Oh yeah, his damaging spell?
yeah, it can be pretty decent. But for the
I've
most
seen
part,
it-
he's obviously not as good as he used to be. So
I've seen it pop off and like absolutely annihilate units, and I've seen it do 1 damage.
yeah, I've seen it do no damage. And then obviously we talked about the Changeling a little earlier. This little goober, obviously you just stick him in and do the Chaos Spawn thing, and he's great.
160 points to have 2 casts, be able to set up anywhere on the map in the beginning of the game, and be relatively decent in everything he does. Yeah, that's cheap and gold.
Yeah.
Like, I try to put the Changeling in almost every single one of my lists because it's just so good.
Yeah, and I look at this guy, and he's a 2-cast, and he's 200 points less than the Lord of Change, and I feel he does more. And
Fair.
so I'm just like, the Lord of the Change is just, how do you sell me on that? It's just so tough.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
But out of all of these people here, my favorite hero is the Fate Skimmer.
Oh my god, really? Here we go with the chariots. You and
All right,
chariots.
all right. Chariots, my dudes. It's 12-inch move. It's going to die to the stiffest of breezes. But it has the ability that whenever it moves over someone on a 3-up, it gives a burning.
If that was
Not-
innate and it just gave them burning, stonks are up. I'd be in
Right?
for
And
this guy.
you know what else they do? At the end of every turn, you choose up to 3 people within 12 inches that have burning, and you deal damage. And so you might say, all right, on a 3-up, it's not innate and does all that, but you know what you can do? You can take 5 of them. And that means that you can most likely get 3 people to burn and then deal 5 mortal wounds every turn to 3 units.
Cameron, why are you like this?
Did anybody
because-
see that meme bus drive by that had a Tzeentch banner on it?
All I'm saying is that it has some play.
Sure.
I have a 6 chariot list because the
You
non-named
are
hero
a
also has this
psychopath.
ability.
You're like Cole. You're like you're a psychopath. All right.
You're gonna say that, and then I'm going to 5 mortal wound your hero, and you're gonna be like, "Gosh darn it, there's all my support."
God Summoner is a pass. Too expensive. Jeez, 250 points for that guy. No way. No thanks. I'll just take the regular God Summoner. I think he's really good. 2-caster. You're gonna see him most lists. I think he's really good.
It's funny because the Gaunt Summoner on disc, his play is in Slaves to Darkness.
Yeah.
That's where he does all of his work, and he does almost nothing in Tzeentch.
The Magister on disc is good. Run and charge for discs. I think you're going to see this in like heavy disc play. That's the only way I see you see him in there. 160 points isn't bad. But yeah, for run and charge, pretty good. Curseling's fine. It's got a cool little unbind mechanic.
Yeah, the thing, it's one of those things. What do you want your drops to be?
Yeah, he's not what he was in last edition. He's still 2 cast, but it was the hero traits that really made it when he could, get a pair of numbers and guarantee cast something.
Yeah. Also, to call out too, the Magister, that ability's garbage. It's really bad.
Yeah, I was looking confused, and so I looked it up.
It's
during
really
your hero phase. You pick an enemy unit within 12, and until your next turn, each time your opponent declares a move ability, a friendly Arcanite within 12 gets a free 3-inch move, but it cannot move into combat. And it's just really, really funny because that's so many things actually have the move keyword for abilities. Technically, you can use pile in, but you cannot move into combat. So you can't do pile ins. Someone else did pile ins, you could do it. But redeploy, charge, move, all of that, they all have the move keyword.
Yeah, I guess. Arcanauts are really bad too in this edition, so.
Yes.
Okay, let's get to the last little section of heroes. I really want the Ogre, Thaumaturge, I think is how you pronounce it. I really want him to be good because he's such a cool model. But, man, I just see this guy just evaporating on the board before he can get in, which makes me really sad. And then the Zangor Shaman is actually pretty decent. He's pretty good. He'll be good in Zangor lists if the points go down to help that out. I think Zangor Shaman will be pretty good. I definitely rate him.
I think the Zangor Shaman's already good.
Yeah, I do too.
He's a 14-inch move that if a Zangor is in combat, you just deal more damage to your opponent every turn, and then you just heal your Zangors.
The problem is I don't know how, and maybe you know, James. I don't know how competitive Zangors are right now, so that's my only concern with them.
I haven't seen too much Tzeentch with the Zangors that I've been looking at lately.
Yeah.
I think that they're really good.
They could be really good. I haven't seen it, but they might be really good. One thing I did want to mention, though, I'm surprised Camaron didn't say it. On the Ogrid, he can give the burning keyword. So, sticking with your chariot list.
The thing is I have too many chariots. That's all my hero slots, so I can't take it.
Fair. I really want the Thaumaturge dude, the Ogre dude, to be good, man. Because that's such a sweet sculpt.
He
man.
looks amazing.
He does.
If only he did damage.
They took away his healing spell, and they gave him 3 attacks in range.
Yeah, it's his total melee attacks is 5 attacks total, dude. That is rough, man. On 4s and 2s. Oof.
Yeah, 4s is where it's rough.
Yeah, if he was on 3s, if he was 3s 2s and 3s 3s, okay. I still don't know if I'm taking him. But geez, 4s and 2s with 5 attacks total is not good. It's not good.
Yeah, I love that model also.
2 gluttons outdamage him.
Poor guy. I was having a rough day. All right, so Chaos Spawn. The one biggest downside to this list and using the Changeling thing, you have to spend points on the Chaos Spawn, which is worth it. Which is worth it, but you do have to pay the points for that Chaos
Best
Spawn.
60 points I ever spent.
Correct.
For a 60-point tax,
Correct.
I can stop your entire army from moving.
Yes.
Every turn.
Yes, I'm just so everyone's aware, you do have to pay for it.
Oh no.
Obviously, we talked about pinks, blues, and brems. They work much differently than they used to, and they're still just as annoying. They're really good point value for what they do. I can't tell you how much damage I've done to 20 pack of blues and brims and still just haven't been able to remove them. They do quite a bit of damage on the swing back because they get 2 attacks each, and they can swing back pretty well. I'm very impressed with the pink and blue brim point values right now. I think they go up in points.
Yep. So before we started, I said that there's some of these guys that I thought were going to go up points, and pink horrors and blue horrors are those guys.
Yeah.
Because for 260 points, you have anywhere between 30 to 70 wounds before any healing or other buffs.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And it's just, you thought 250 points last edition for 50 wounds was bad? Well, these guys can get even worse, especially with how rally works. Just every point of rally is now potentially 2 more wounds. Potentially 2 points of rally can give you, what is that, another 7 wounds if you do it on pinks, something like that.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous how much health, 6 wounds, there you go, how much health you can just have, just a blob up to your opponent and just go, sorry, can you deal 40 damage at once?
Yep. Yeah, blues and brims are definitely my favorite on this list for sure. They're crazy good. Crazy good.
Can't forget the burning chariot.
Oh, yes, the burning chariot, of course. How could we forget? Moving on, screamers. Pretty good. They're still good. The problem with screamers is they're fast and they can take objectives as long as there's no one else on them. Because the beast keyword sucks on these guys, but
I like them because they're fast, and so then there's potentially 3 tactics that I could look to get with them. There's flanks, there's capture enemy objective, or territory piece, like something in the back corner, and then you could also look at trying to get the center of the board at some point too.
Yep.
And for 200 points for 2 units,
it's pretty good. Their point value is very, very
they're
good.
cheap tactics.
Yeah.
That's all they are.
Yeah. The fact that these are 100 points and some of the things in the game are more than this is pretty crazy. Like,
I wish Nurglings were this good.
Jesus. Yeah, for the record, you pay 110 points for Nurglings versus these guys. How is that a thing? Someone explain this to me. Oh my god. All right, moving on. Oh, that is so bad. Anyway. Let's get into some of the shooters. You'll never take Exalted Flamers, but you will take Flamers. Exalted Flamers are just... They're so much worse than just taking more Flamers. I don't understand the point cost there, but Flamers are very good. They do quite a bit of damage.
They're very glass cannony, just short range damage bursters.
But
they'll do a lot of damage.
They will do a lot of damage. They will do quite a bit of damage. So definitely watch out for those. Zangor Skyfires I really like. They're
the same movement as the Screamers. It's just they have range attacks. But you're paying 70 points, so if you want to pay 340 points for those 2 units to take objectives, but they have at least a little bit more use at range, then you go Skyfires.
And you can't change their profile, their shooting profile either, so they will always shoot at what they are. So it's pretty good.
They're very consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're decent if you can find a hero out of position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair too. Yep. And they're fast. They're super fast. All right, so sell me on Zangors. They look okay. I don't know. I mean, they're fine, I guess.
My biggest complaint with Zangors is they lost run and charge, which was so good for them last edition. They are still 2 wounds, and Battle Shock is gone.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
I'm not a hater here. I think the biggest thing that's keeping Zangors down right now is that blues and brims and pinks are so much better.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's fair.
So they're run and charge. That Zangor Shaman that we had earlier, they give run and charge to them. As well as, for 150 points, that is 20 wounds. They're the best melee profile in the entire Tzeentch roster. And so you just take them in packs of 20, so that's 40 wounds. And the way that the Zangor Shaman goes, this is the combo, is that they will be in combat. They will do a decent amount of damage. They're not like Iron Guts or anything like that, but they'll be there in damage. Did your opponent not deal 40 damage to kill them? Then all of your Zangor Shamans that are around, each one will deal D3 damage, and every damage you get another Zangor back. Well, since every Zangor is 2 wounds each, so if I deal 3 damage to you, I just healed 6 wounds from my
Yeah.
Zangor.
Okay, I see it.
And they do that at the end of every turn. So if you take 4 Shamans, you can resurrect 14 Zangors every turn.
All right, I guess I didn't really think about a Zangor like build like that, but I can see it.
My only
sure.
issue with that is fitting 4 Shamans into a list because they're not lieutenants, right?
No,
I don't-
like
No,
you
you
have
would
to go
you'd have to
for
build.
this.
You'd have to build.
So you're
into
at
it.
5 drops then because you're taking Kairos, and then you're taking 4 Shamans just to buff up maybe 1 or 2 reinforced units of Zangors.
You don't have to take like Kairos is good, like really good, but like
I think
this
in this
list,
build,
you don't require it.
I think in this build you're not going magic at all. You're just going straight up Zangor spam.
I could see like 1 or 2 support a 1 unit. And I think that's a pretty good block, honestly.
Sure.
And it's like a Zangor Shaman and then a 20 pack of Zangors is only 460 points.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, I can definitely. You're selling me on the Zangor list. I just I don't know. It's good. It's fine. I think if you run him that way, then yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. It's a good little combo for sure.
Yeah. And it's like if you take 4 Shamans, you can take 80 Zangors. And so that's 160 wounds of Zangors, and you still have 120 points left.
Sure.
So it's just a crap ton of wounds.
Yeah, it is. Zangor profile is not great either. 4s and 3s is not great, but sure.
It's the best melee that
I know.
anything in this list has.
I know. Zangor Enlightened. These guys are pretty good. Zangor Enlightened are okay. There's 90 points, for 3 of them, I think you get. They've got a good upside with not being able to use commands, but it's okay. They're
Yeah.
okay.
All the Zangor Enlightened, especially like the Zangor Enlightened on disc, they got slightly weaker than they were before. But they're still super fast, especially the ones on disc. They're still super fast, and they still do. They're okay.
Enlightened Disc on Tzeentch, pretty good. Reinforced, these guys can be pretty crazy.
Super fast.
Yeah, super fast, and I mean they're still pretty tough to kill. They're 4 wounds each. Like they're okay. I like them. And then we get to Kyric, Acolytes, and Jade Obelisk, which are a nope.
Why are Acolytes a nope? I haven't really looked at them too much.
They're just garbage profile. They don't do what they used to do, where they were a wizard that kind of buffed themselves.
Are they no longer a wizard?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty bad.
They just have an ability to give themselves +1 Ren on like a 5-up.
Which is like
no.
And then
Not worth it.
They do -1 to casting to wizards within 12, but like
If you're within 12 of a wizard with them, they're probably dead.
yes, exactly. Poor Acolytes, dude. I've got a couple of groups of these, and it's just they're garbage now. It's just bad. I mean, Jade Obelisk is just garbage. My God, that's such a bad unit.
Just don't take them.
Jesus Christ.
Pass.
Anti-faction terrain +1 to rend. Are we serious right now? What? Whatever. It's fine. We're moving on.
I'll just take some Zangors.
As far as Regiments Renown, you're not putting any of these in, other than maybe the Fulgoss Shudderhood, but it's 540 points, so it's a huge expense. But they are a good anvil. So you do have that going for you. The rest of them you're untaken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
That's it. That's it for Tzeentch. Cool. So, Burning Mechanic, I think, is too swingy, and you can only do it in 1 unit in the shooting phase. The other thing that we didn't talk about, too, is if you have a spell that has Weird Flame, you have to remember that you did that spell on that unit and not forget, so to give them burning later on, which is just it's a really bad timing for the mechanic. I don't like that at all, that you have to remember something like that, but whatever. Shutting down rally or healing is very good. Protecting the heroes are incredibly important. The 2 or 3 games that I won against Jed, it's because I got into his chickens. Once the chickens were gone, the army falls apart. And to James's point, there is a very high ceiling here. Like, you have to spend a lot of time with this army to really get the most out of it. So, that's my summary. Camaron gave it a B. I also gave it a B. Thoughts?
I think it's a really good army. It's just it's very difficult to play.
I would give it an A.
Wow.
I really think I think it's the right player. Now, if it's a new player or somebody who doesn't put the reps in, B, maybe a C.
Sure.
Agreed.
But Caleb Waters with this army right now wrecks people. Just wrecks them.
For the record, Caleb is also the best Tzeentch player in the world. Cameron knows.
Yep.
So I mean, obviously he's going to do well with this army, but I will say, Caleb with this army would be pretty brutal. I could see that for sure.
Yeah, this army can be extremely oppressive.
Yeah.
Played right.
I can definitely see that. Like, there's just so many things where it's just like, sorry, you don't get a movement phase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're just stuck.
Yeah, you're just stuck. As well as like.
Oh, you thought you did a bunch of damage to me with your dudes? Well, I'm just gonna use a 6 and save it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people, especially newer players, don't use their Destiny dice. It's crazy to me.
Mhm.
It's because they forget they're
It is
there.
really weird.
And they are so good.
I think horrors are incredibly oppressive as well.
Yep, 100%. Going into them, yeah, I agree.
They're
and then
so hard to kill.
like I look at, because I think the S tier right now is so bloated. We have difficulties assessing A tier.
Yep, I agree.
But I feel like this army right now has legs.
Okay.
It's just very, very hard to play.
Yep.
As soon as the other really oppressive armies
Come
go
down,
down,
this'll
I
come-
think
this'll
these
go up.
guys
Yep.
are going to go way up.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. All right, moving on. Slaanesh is my favorite of the 3. Poor Nurgle. I feel so bad for you guys. All right, let's get into Slaanesh. Boy, when this first came out, let me tell you what, people were not happy. And rightfully so. They did an awful job explaining this mechanic right out of the gate in that preview.
Well, I remember looking at our Discord, and it's like, guys, give it a chance. Like, oh my gosh.
We definitely had some. I mean, I understand too. Again, Games Workshop did not do this justice when they did the preview for the index. So let's get into it. So a much different depravity mechanic than they used to have. I've played a couple games with this army now. It is extremely unforgiving. If you make the wrong move, you go into the wrong unit, you will suffer for it for sure. And it is a very high ceiling army. This is kind of like Tzeentch, where you have to play it quite a bit in order to kind of get the most out of it. Probably one of the quickest indexes in the game. Everything in here is like super fast with run and charge and a bunch of stuff. So they're good at controlling. They have got some control and retreat gimmicks, so they're good in that aspect. And in my mind, to this day, I still think they have some of the best looking sculpts in the game.
Also, some of the most difficult to build.
I wouldn't know because I didn't build them. Thank God.
It is. I'll just
Terrible.
say, bliss barbs are one of the most hated things I have ever built.
And pigs. I've built a couple pigs in my day. The Gordruntas, those things are miserable to build. And I don't even want to know what Glutos is like to build either. But still, what an amazing looking army. Oh, they're so pretty. All right, thoughts on overview.
This is one of the armies which I think are going to get a nerf in the future.
Don't tell me that. Don't say that.
In
Don't
the
say
very
that.
near future.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. My poor Slaanesh.
They are. I think a lot of people woefully underestimate how good this army is.
I agree.
Mhm.
It's the same thing that we were talking about earlier, right? Where all the S tier armies are
Yeah.
so far up there that that Slaanesh kind of scoots by. I agree. When they drop, Slaanesh is going to raise for sure.
There's some, like, the battle trade itself is meh, But the war scrolls in this army are just
really
so
good. They're really good.
So good.
They remind me a lot of Lumineth. They're really, really good. That being said, I don't think this army is as good as Lumineth, but I do like this book. I hope it doesn't get pointed out too much. I know both barbs are going to go out for sure, but all right, cool. Let's just get onto the battle traits. Let's go straight in. All right, so when you first read the depravity rule, you are not happy about it, and rightfully so. Essentially, you're giving your die. You pick 1 to 3 units in your army to give them both crit 2 hits and run, charge / shoot, which is a very extremely good mechanic. I cannot tell you how good that is. That being said, you are going to give them 1 to 3 dice, and they can use that for multiple things. They do have a gimmick to where they roll 1 or 2 and they take D3, but they're still going to get the whatever they use it on, whether it's
whatever dice you want, except for hit rolls,
except
becomes
for hit
a 6.
rolls. Yep, you can even do wards, I believe, right? Yeah, ward rolls as well.
Yep.
So the way I play this, and the way most Slaanesh players play this, is unless you know you're going to really get the most out of your turn by doing this, you normally just do this on 1 unit, which is enough to make it work, but there are some turns where you just kind of have to give them more. The biggest issue with this, where new players don't think about, like, you never want to give them 2 6s because they can countercharge right out of the gate and get to you. It's real bad. So you need to be really careful about how you use this. This whole mechanic, if you can master this mechanic, this army is very, very good. But you just have to make sure you really understand how this mechanic works and how it helps you versus hurts you. But the crit 2 hits, the run, charge, shoot is really, really good. So, thoughts on the battle traits?
You will only, if you play this army, you need to repeat after me. I will only ever give 1 dice. That is it. This isn't even like a temptation for your opponent. This is a temptation for you.
Yes.
To realize that there is no other 2 or 3 options to this battle trait.
Yeah.
You will give 1, and you will live the rest of the game happy.
I only agree with... Yeah, I agree with you. You're 100% right. And I'm not arguing that fact. There are certain circumstances where you're already so far ahead that you can just do this and end the game early. But you are right. Most of the time, 99.999 times, you're giving them one dice.
Yeah, you have to know what you're doing if you're going to be giving more than 1.
Correct.
Or hope that your opponent doesn't know what they're doing.
Yep. Or or like, if they're... even the chip damage, you can't really rely on that. Like, you're just going to give them 1 dice. For the most part, you're just going to give them 1 dice. And essentially what you're doing is once you give them the 1 dice and you put the euphoric killers on... you give one euphoric killers, you're buffing that unit to high hell and just sending that thing in. Because it will do damage. So, yeah. So that's the battle traits. Let's get into the battle formations. They're all decent or very good. The go-to right now is obviously the Seeker Cavalcade because you get the retreat charge, and you have a lot of charge damage in this army.
The Seekers are the best unit in the army, so...
Yep.
Yeah.
So, very good. Man, I have such horrible luck with Seekers. Oh my god, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, you're going to take Seeker Cavalcade. I also think Depraved Carnival is also really good. Because you can use your Feign to get this off. And this also works in shooting. So you can actually buff your Blizzbarbs with this. With the Honor Guard system, you don't really need to, but I do think there is a world where Depraved Carnival is pretty good. And the other 2 are fine as well. Those are the 2 you're going to be taking, is one of those 2. So,
Yeah, you're always going to take the one where you can retreat charge.
yes. And the best part about this is you don't take the damage for mortals, as like where in frickin' OBR you do. I don't understand why, but whatever.
Because OBR can't have nice things.
I know.
They've lived on the pedestal too long.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they are good. 25 Death Riders is pretty good. I can confirm. All All right, heroic traits. Pretty good. Into the Fray is really good. The 8-up strike first. So most of the times I've played this army, I haven't used any of these traits or artifacts because I just went ham and went glucose shalaxi and didn't have to worry about these. So so I didn't get any of these, but these are all pretty decent. Again, strike first on an 8-up is really good. My issue with a lot of these artifacts and heroic traits is most of the good things that you have are unique. So it's hard to put these on a non-unique hero to make them useful. You can, but it's not great. I mean, I guess it's just a little benefit, but...
yeah, because you just always take unique things with
yes, there's just the unique stuff in this army is just so good. Sigvalds, Shalaxi. We lost James. He'll be back. But yeah, so and then so Glory Hog. I don't know who you're gonna put that on. Let me make sure that he knows he's off.
It's pretty easy to tell if you're off.
Is it? Okay, cool. Then he'll be back. Anyway, Glory Hog. I don't know who you're giving this to, so it's hard to. And same with Strongest Alone. Like I just don't know who you're giving these to make them benefit. Like
yeah, like they're all good, but like
who are you giving them to?
yeah,
That's
for real.
And then artifacts, kind of the same problem. These are all really good. These are all really, really good. I just don't know who to give them to.
The answer is you're always going to give it to like a Keeper of Secrets, but it's like,
yeah. Voice box is good.
Do you want to take a Keeper of Secrets?
I'm taking Shalaxi probably still.
Exactly.
The voice box is good for the once per battle -1 to attacks, and then you also get a once per battle +1 to attacks. So, fine. Again, just hard to put these on whoever. It's going to be some support hero that's behind, like a Lord of Pain or something, that you can just pop this, and then that's your artifact. So,
I think I'd prefer the voice box. It's a just in case someone gets into you, they have -1 to attack.
I agree. That's the one I'm...
It just ups your survival since you're already a not that survivable army.
Correct. And this army does really well with giving debuffs out. So, like you know, the more you can debuff, the better. Because, again, you are glass cannon in this army, for sure. Sorta. There are a couple things in this book that are tough to kill. And we'll get there. Anything else, James, on the artifacts? Oh, James, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Hello?
Hey, there you go. Now
There
you're
we
back.
go.
You're back.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was saying that I have seen some lists with a keeper running some stuff like this. So I wouldn't say it's out of the realm. I don't know if these are good enough to not take a named character. Is all I'm thinking.
I'm right there with you. That's why my first list was Glutos and Shalaxi. And that was it. So yeah, I 100% agree with you. You do not need these in order for your army to work. So, all right.
Helpful buffs, but take Shalaxi.
Spell lore is fan-freaking-tastic, man. Oof. These are good. Sadistic Spite, you basically take your crit 2 hits and you give them crit mortals. Yeah, boy. Now, you can't do this for shooting. That would be way too broken. But, man, even having, like 10 Twin Souls with 4 attacks each, you give them crit mortals now. Pretty good. Pretty good.
It just makes your entire army be able to hit something.
Yep. Now, obviously, to James's point, you're only ever going to do this to 1 unit because you're never going to give more than 1 dice out. Overwhelming Acquiescence is extremely good. This does work in shooting, so you can give +1 to wounds. So your Bliss Barbs are now on 3s and 3s, which is good. And my favorite spell, this is so underused, I think, in the current game, is Phantasmagoria?
Phantasmagoria.
I think this spell is so good. You basically pick an enemy unit, and anytime they choose to use the fight ability, you're going to roll 2d3 and move. You can move wherever you want. You can move into another unit, you can move out of combat, or whatever. And this is going to happen if they haven't charged. They can't pile in, so they're done. Like there's nothing they can do. So you can literally get. I've used this on Shalaxi many a times where I get into something. I did this with Zach against Rock Guts. I get into his Rock Guts. They didn't charge. I charged. He chooses them to fight. I roll. I move out of combat. He can't pile in. His activation is done. Then I go through all my other activations. Then I go with Shalaxi. Since I charged, I get to pile in, hit the Rock Guts, and we're good to go. I think this ability is super good. I think this is... And it's on a 5 cast, which is crazy to me. But yeah. It can backfire if you get two 1s. It feels real bad, but I still think it's worth it to cast. So anyway, I like this ability. It is a 12-inch range too, which kind of sucks. But
yeah, I on this one, that sadistic spite, it kind of teases me into wanting to take like a unit of 20 daemonettes.
Oh yeah.
Just so that I can get, 3 attacks. So then I'm at what, 90? No, 20. So I'm at 60 attacks. 6s are mortals.
You're killing anything you go into, pretty much.
Yeah. That's a blender, and daemonettes are not very expensive.
No, they're 110 points. I think they're super cheap.
Yeah. So
cheap
for
chips.
220 points and 1 spell, I've got a hammer that will chew through you.
And they get run and charge, so
yep.
They're a lot quicker. There's other ways to give them +1 to attacks. I think you can get these guys up to like 80 to 100 attacks, and they will literally just destroy anything they go into. They will die to a swift breathe, but if you're attacking first, you're killing anything you go into.
I think that's the motto of this army: is I need to attack first.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's the downside with this army. There's a lot of porcupine units, fight first units out there that, if there's a lot of that in that army, you're not having a good time. Because you do not want them fighting first, because you're just going to lose your unit. So you got to be real careful about your combats. This is a very high ceiling army. Anything else on the spells? I think we're good, right? Let's go with the Manifestation lore. That's just going to be nope. I think the Dreadful Visage is good, but you're taking a different spell lore or Manifestation lore. You're just going to take something else.
I like the mirror. It's just...
is it good enough to take it over the Purple Sun?
Nope, never.
No.
Nope. And honestly,
is there any Manifestation lore that's better than the Purple Sun?
No, not right now, and they need to fix it.
All right, there you go.
But yeah. So, Purple Sun. Or any of the other ones, too. If you're like a 2-cast only in this army, I would see Kronspine. I could use Kronspine in here. It's fine. But Purple Sun really helps this army. Cool, let's get into the amazing Warscrolls. I'll let you talk about Sinessa and Dexessa, but my go-to here is Shalaxi. She is awesome. Just make sure she doesn't get debuffed. Because she does, it feels real bad. But she's got an innate subtract -1 to hit. She's got an amazing spell on a 4-cast. She's +1 to wound and +1 to save against heroes. And she has got one of the craziest abilities as far as an anti-charge. So she can technically... She has 2 ways she can counter-charge on the enemy's turn. So she's got the little hero thing that if they're within 9 inches and they try to charge, you can try to charge them back. And if that doesn't work, you can try a counter charge, because you can do both of them. Oh no, I guess you can't, because it's core.
Yep.
Right, because if you use the first one, you can't attempt the second one, right?
Is counter charge a core ability?
I think so. Isn't it?
Well, I'll go ahead and look it up.
If it's not a core ability, then you can do both. But I think counter charge is, so you only get 1 shot at it, but it's still really good. You don't have to spend the command point for it either. So
counter charge is not a core ability.
Oh, so maybe you can do both. I think you can do both. If I remember correctly, you can both try the Paramount Hunter charge ability as well as the counter charge, which is really good. It's really, really good. Regardless, it's a really good ability. She's essentially, you're taking her to kill heroes. She is going to annihilate heroes. That is her goal.
And she does it very well.
Yes. She's a wizard too at the 5-up board, so pretty good. Pretty good.
With her, I'm of. So right now, it seems like the meta's tending towards one big piece hero that kind of is your centerpiece buff point, as well as like, and she goes real well into that meta because she will kill that hero. My concern is if we start to stray away from that,
what good is
that she could be less worth her points.
I agree.
And I still think, honestly, just my opinion, I think she's just a little overcosted.
Oh, I 100% think so too. Like, she does hit like a truck, but she's got 8 attacks total, and you debuff her a little bit, and you're 490 point. I think 490. It's steep, man. I do think she's a little
1/4 your
overcosted.
army for a hero killer.
Yeah.
A damn good hero killer.
I
but just a hero
do.
killer.
I agree with you. I do think she's just a little overcosted. Like, go to 470 maybe.
Yeah.
460. I think that's a little bit more in line where she's at. So. All right.
Hell, I'd even take a 10-point drop. I think 480, put her next to a Maw Crusher.
Sure.
Like,
Fair.
I think she's just a little too expensive. Just a little bit.
I agree. All right, Camaron, Sinessa, Dexessa, your favorite
For
units?
once in their entire life,
Yes, they actually can be
these
used.
two actually can do something.
Yes, which is so stupid because they're probably the best looking sculpt in the game, and you couldn't use them for anything.
Like, yeah, you're taking a 520-point tax for taking them, but like, one of them's actually a good spellcaster.
Yep.
One of them's actually a good melee. Like, they actually go through and they do their roles fairly well.
And they play off each other. So if you have one, you get benefits for having the other.
Yeah.
So.
Like, if you have both, you are now a double caster. If you have both, one of them is a -1 to hit.
Yep.
Like, and they have some fairly decent like play off of each other. They're 5-ups. They have a 5-up board now, which is great. Like,
yeah.
They're not the oh my god, this is the end all be all, but they're pretty decent.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep these guys out of combat if you can. Like, you need to be real careful about how you use Dexessa, whatever you put her into. But for the most part, they're good and they're useful now. Like, I've seen a lot of twins lists going around with these.
Yeah, that's
these
the biggest thing. They actually have use now.
Yes, yeah, I agree. James, any commentary on the keeper? Taking it, not taking it?
I think it's good. I think it has some play with artifacts and hero traits. I just think there's other better choices that you're struggling against, and so it might be a little expensive.
I agree.
It is a 4-up, 5-up though. It is 12 inches. It's like a really good package. When you look at it, it's just there's things that are better here.
Yep. And
you're fighting against that.
Yep.
At 440, it doesn't even seem bad. It's
which is
some things are just that better now.
I think if you're running heavy demons and you want a little bit of recursion, you take her. Otherwise, I think you're gonna probably just take Shalaxi.
I think it comes down to the thing where some of the things in this book, which makes it really powerful, are just too cheap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, this picture of Shalaxi going into a Bloodthirster is great. Anyway, moving on. All right. These are all fine. Nothing on this list was like super poor epitome. That got.
I don't know why epitome's a B. That thing's really bad.
So you're like should be in dumpster tier. Yeah, the epitome definitely got shit on.
You're not going to take it's 200
points, man. So
for a maybe double cast.
Yeah, it's not good, man. It's not good. I'll be honest with you, it's not good. The Enrapturous is also really bad.
All right, so the thing about the Enrapturous I really like, she's only 100 points.
I'm not taking it though.
Is she a lieutenant?
Yeah, it is a lieutenant.
Yeah.
It is a lieutenant. So
it's a disrupting spellcaster that is range. Sorry,
She's a spellcaster.
she disrupts spellcasters.
Okay.
But other than that, she just sits on a point, disrupts spellcasting, and then damages and has
I'm
range
taking
attack.
Demonettes. I don't know, man. None of these on here are really good. The mask can be kind of like a disruptor, but it's not.
The mask is also great. It's just, oh no,
It's just not what it
you
used
mean
to be.
I get to start in your territory
Yeah.
right off the beginning? I have someone with a 4/4.
You're just giving them a battle tactic, though. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't like any of these. Celeste is way too expensive. $250. Yeah, right. Get out of here.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm not taking any of these. I'll be honest.
I wish the chariots were a little bit cheaper,
Yeah.
but I can see why.
Anything else on this, James? You got anything?
Nope.
All right. Yeah.
Next.
Pass. Sigvald, my boy, Sigvald. He is still really good. He is
He's
still
a monster.
really, really good.
Which is hilarious because I think he took a nerf from last edition,
And he's still
and
good.
he's still so
Yeah,
good.
he's still really good. Glutos is usable. I think Glutos is very good. He's got some very good abilities, and he is extremely hard to kill. 4 up, 5 up. I think it's 5 up still, right? Pretty sure.
I think so too.
4 up, 5 up, and he heals 6 every turn, which, like, good luck.
And his 5-up isn't like conditional like it was before.
And his spell is really good. He has targets move characteristic, run rolls, and charge rolls. Really good. He's really, really good. I really like him a lot.
Most of the lists that I've been looking around have been like a Gluto Sigvald build.
Yep.
That kind
Yep. I really like it. I really, really like those two. I really do.
It's because they have the Seborite keywords, and
Yep.
so they can actually get buffs from other things.
and they benefit from each other. Yeah. I really do like Sigvald. I also like the Shard Speaker. I don't think it's as good as it used to be, if I remember correctly, but it's still good. It's your cheap caster.
It's a cheap one-cast wizard. That's what you take it
Yep,
for.
exactly. I took out Glutos for a test game. This is when I went up against Zach with his Trog list. I took out Glutos for the Shard Speaker and some more Slick Blades. It didn't work out well for me, but, it's fine. Shard Speaker's
Don't worry,
fine.
Glutos wouldn't have done anything to those trolls anyways.
What I really like about Glutos, I might put Glutos back in, man. 1, he's awesome looking. Let's just start there.
Agreed.
And 2, using the Feign on him is, like, it doesn't matter because he's going to heal that anyway. So he's going to get +1 to cast regardless. So definitely like those two. Hubris is fine.
I like the Hubris guy just because it's another one of those mind games. I wish he was slightly cheaper because he went down in ward. He's now like a 5-up ward instead of a 4-up, if I remember correctly. And just like all the Lord of Pain and Lord of Hubris are good. They're just a little bit too expensive.
Yeah. It's a cool mechanic. The Hubris is cool. Like, you have to attack the dude, right? Isn't that the one? Is that the guy? Which one is it?
Yeah, so you have to attack them or you get strike last.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think it's cool. Just play a little mini game with your opponent. It's pretty cool. It's fine.
Hey, go in and countercharge with him and then make your opponent hate themselves.
Yep. He is a little expensive, though. I don't know if I'm taking him for 160.
Exactly.
These guys. Demonettes, we already talked about it. Real good. For 110 points, probably one of the most efficient cheapy screens out there, if I had to guess.
I wouldn't make them my screen.
Well, maybe not a screen, but...
They're my blender that I'm going to throw up there
that's
turn
what I
1 or
meant.
2.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Blender. I do think Fiends and Seekers are fine, especially if you put the crit mortals on them, because they have a lot of attacks.
I'm gonna counter on one of those there. I would say that Fiends are bad.
I agree. Fiends are bad.
They are beasts, so they all have 1 control score. You're not hurting for damage in this army. They lost some of their movement. There are only 3 models.
That's true.
There's just not enough here.
You don't really need their speed because you already got enough speed. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I could move them down.
I feel
really
like they're C, maybe D tier. I would not take Fiends in any list.
Sure. And they're still pretty pricey too, so you sold me on that. That's fine. I'm with you on that. The Health Layer's garbage.
I take Hellflayers over the Fiends.
I would. but there's about a pile this high that support that.
That's above it. Yeah. No, these are all pretty bad except for the Demonettes. Yeah.
Seekers are pretty good.
Seekers okay. They're fine. I think they're like straight up B plus tier. Like they're just Seekers.
they're just decent.
I think in this meta, with the anti-cavalry, they can be pretty decent, but they're still 3s and 4s, man. It's still meh.
Yeah, they're cheap. They're 140 points.
Yeah, cheap, quote unquote cheap, as Demonettes are at 110. All right, moving on. All right, we get into a lot of the mortal stuff. Oh boy. Okay, so obviously Blissbarb Archers are going to be in every list because they are super efficient, especially with Honor Guard. They're just,
140 points.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Pretty good. With Honor Guard, these are on 2s and 3s, and you just can't. You give them crit 2 hits, and you just these are going to do damage. So they will probably go up in points. Makes me sad, but they definitely probably need to. Which is just,
I don't think we'll see a points jump in them until the S tier comes down, though.
I hope not. That means I get to still
I think
use
it's
them.
going to be like a second wave.
Sure.
I would like to counter on this slide, though. I think Slickblade Seekers are S as well.
Agreed.
Okay.
They are probably the best unit in this book.
What am I doing wrong with these guys? Because I've got a unit of 2 5-packs in this, and I can't.
There you go. You're using a unit of 2 5-packs.
So it uses a 10?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
100%.
That's 40 wounds in a unit.
Yeah, but they just die to a Swift Breeze, and I do 0 damage. I can't get the 3s and 4s in.
You give the mortals to them, and you just kill everything.
Yeah. +1 damage on the charge. They've got mortals.
Oh, crit mortals on the charge. Yeah, that's pretty gross. That is pretty gross. Okay.
Yeah, you just kill everything, and a cover fire isn't going to be able to do enough damage to make them not good.
Yeah, and then there's still 40 wounds. There's not too many units in the game that do 40 wounds.
Yeah.
And then
They
you've got your battle
die
formation.
quick, man. They die quick.
Well, you got your battle formation, so you can retreat out with them, charge with them again. I mean...
Okay. So then I'll make a little adjustments to my list, because I was using them as 2 5-packs, but...
Yeah, you want a big unit of them.
I will say Hellstriders have been really good for me. I used to use 2 packs of them. I took out 1 to put in another Slickblade, but I really like Hellstriders for 150 points. I think they're really good.
Really cheap.
Yeah, they're cheap for what they do. But
the Blissbarb Seekers, they're so cheap for what they do.
Yeah, they're fine. I think they're fine for what they do.
They're all good. If Slickblade Seekers weren't so much just S tier right now.
All right, I need to play it. I need to go back, and the reroll charges, they are good. They are. There's no denying that they're not good.
Yes.
But I need to go back and kind of rethink how I use them, because I was not using them for.
And
buff them up, shoot them.
The problem
forward,
is
they kill everything.
The problem is you have to fight between using the crit 2 hits on the Blissbarbs versus these guys, right? So because you're only going to use it on 1, so you have to fight that thought process of which one do I use where, right? And that's another one of those high ceiling.
Are you attacking with the Slickblade Seekers? All right, do it on them.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
I will say I'm probably not aggressive enough with the Slickblade Seekers. If I had to say in my own play style, I'm not aggressive enough with them, which I should be.
They turn 1, you should be clear the screen if there is one with your archers, your Blissblade archers, and then your Seekers are into everything.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And they just kill everything.
And they kill everything.
It's okay. All right, you guys have sold me. I need to go back and look at that. That's first mistake, running them as 5.
It needs 2 stars in the standout column. 2 stars.
Fair. Fair.
Twin Souls, just good. They're so
my
cheap.
god, Twin Souls, you bubble that up with Shalaxi, you're -1 to hit, -1 to attacks. Good luck.
I'm so glad to see this unit seeing play this edition.
They're so cool looking.
They were not good last edition, and they are cool looking.
Yeah, I agree. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on. Regiments of Renown? Nope. On pretty much everything. You're so expensive, you're not taking.
If I don't
photographs.
look, it doesn't happen, right? I just
Yeah,
Right,
it's not
exactly.
there. It's not there. All right. Overall, let's just go through these real quick. Well, we got through them a lot quicker than the other one. Traits and artifacts feel awkward because obviously there's not a whole lot to put them on.
Because you're not going to use them.
Yep. This army does struggle against debuffs really bad. -1 to hit, -1 to wound is really tough for this army. You're mostly 3s and 4s, and that feels bad. So you got to be real careful about that. We already said it before. This is a hard army to pilot for new players. You just have to kind of know how your mechanic works. And I do say there's a lot of debuffs in this armor. They can get things down to -2 attacks. So there's a lot of things you can do in that aspect. Half charge, all that type of stuff. So I think these guys are a B+, A-. I think in the right hands, they can go 5-0 with some good matchups. I do think they have some really bad matchups as well.
I'm putting an addendum to my tier.
Oh, okay, not B.
My tier is the average person. But I think that this book will straight up go to like A+ to S to a guy who knows what they're doing.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm right there too. And I think first FAQ line is not going to be looking at this army. I think we're going to see a Nighthaunt Lumineth.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And then
let's
I
do
think
it.
Slaanesh, like people are going to start looking at Slaanesh again, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, the Warscrolls are just so good in this army.
What I think happened is people looked at the original thing. They're like, man, Slaanesh is trash. And then they completely ignored them, except for the people who really, really like Slaanesh. And then the people who really, really like Slaanesh looked at this and was like, wait a minute. They're so cheap.
Yeah.
Holy cow, they're so cheap.
40 wounds, like what is it, 180 plus, so 360 for 40 wounds that fly across the board and blender your whole army.
Yeah.
I'm clearly not using them right.
No, 280 points for run and shoot bliss bars for 41 attacks.
Yeah.
Oh no.
220 points for 3 to 4 attack daemonettes with crit mortals.
You can get them to 5 attacks. I was looking at it. You can give one from Vexessa or Sinessa, one of those two. +1 to attacks from your artifact. And then +1 from charge. So you give them 5 attacks each.
They're so cheap.
Probably a little overboard,
player.
But...
A good player with this is easily S tier with us.
Yeah.
I see things going up 10 points for most things across the board, and then I think they'll be easy A tier.
Sure.
Yeah, I think once people stop playing Nighthaunt at the top armies and gets, I think Slaanesh will see a lot.
I think it's going to be Slaanesh, and I still think Lumineth's up there. I think Lumineth is just, even points, I think Lumineth is just a really good army.
Lumineth's only weakness is that they just don't have enough. They're not going to be able to get enough models on the board.
Fair. All right, let's go into the first army I owned for AOS, which makes me so sad.
I still love this army. I still play them.
I love this army.
Even in this edition.
It's just they're...
I think the army's fun. I don't think it's good.
Yeah, they're just not super competitive right now. And hopefully... I think it's just a points problem. I'm hoping it's just a points problem. But these guys are way overcosted right now for what they are. So let's go into overview. Disease mechanic is still there, but is very different. It is not the mechanic that we used to have. It's actually a lot easier and almost kind of incentivized to use both demons and mortals. Like, it used to be one or the other in the previous edition. Now, like, my list contains both, and I'm happy with it.
This is one of my favorite things. I can look at Nurgle and be like, wow, I'm going to see things more than just flies.
Yep, more or just plague bearers.
Yep.
It still suffers from being really slow. There's I think it's an artifact that gives them +1 to move. It's like, come on, guys, give me at least 2 or 3. Jesus.
What are you talking? That's plus 25% movement into their entire army.
So bad.
That's massive.
They're still really slow. There are ways to get them down the board, but kind of have to build into that. Objectives and battle attacks will be tough because of the lack of speed. Flies you're gonna be seeing flies of one variety in the list just because of that. And we got rid of the wheel. which is kind of sad. I liked the wheel.
I find the wheel very annoying just because I don't play it, and it's a mechanic that you're like is such a huge thing for your army. It changes every single time you fight someone that's playing
I
Nurgle.
liked it. I thought it was
And
awesome.
so like as an opponent who fights Nurgle, it's like, oh, you have a wheel. What does this do? And I had to ask every single time, no matter what, because it's never
Sure.
consistent.
I just even if it wasn't a wheel per se, I liked the flavor that it would do, like the growing of the contagion. I thought it was a cool mechanic. I liked it.
Yeah, it's also something your opponent can. It is incredibly hard for your opponent to plan for.
Yeah, sure.
Because there's 6 different things that happen at different times that change between every single game that you're playing.
Okay, we can say that same thing about Fire Slayers. They're the same.
Hey, at least all the rules are right there.
I guess. They could have a box here that has an ability that just says, "These are the rounds." I liked the wheel. All right,
If they did
I'm
that,
wheel.
I think it'd be good.
I'm pro wheel.
Do an Idenith. In Idenith round 1
Yeah.
does this, round 2 does
Yeah,
this.
exactly. James, I know you're very fond of this army. And what's the generalized overview?
Yeah, so I found some different things that kind of make it can make it work. There's some tricks in this book. They're just it's expensive, especially against some of the armies that can punch through your defenses. You don't have the recursion anymore like you used to. You don't have the summoning, and I really feel like this army, when they were building this book and pointing it out, they were like, oh, they're going to be able to bring back at least another unit or two during the course of a game. Yeah, so point them up, and I'm like, there is no healing or recursion that makes this worth it.
It's not, and if there is, it's better than some armies for sure, but it's not worth the point cost that they're giving these guys. These guys are way overcosted, I think. Like by quite a bit. If I had to.
And I feel like the lieutenant choices were bad.
Oh God!
Nurgle needs its support heroes.
Don't even get me started.
And then I also think there's like Nurglings in this army are
literally
useless.
trash.
You have a whole unit Warscroll that has absolutely 0 point in existing.
All right, so here's the true test.
I have 15 Nurglings that are just going in the bin.
If Nurglings were half the price they were right now, would you take them?
I'd take the command point.
I would, yeah.
Seriously, I'd just take the command point.
That's how bad they are.
Yeah, they're real bad. They're really, really bad.
If they gave them to me for free,
I might use them.
And a pregame move, so I could set them up in front of my other units that move 4 inches.
I might take them.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the battle traits. So this all revolves around the disease mechanic, which is much different than it used to be. It is much harder to get your army diseased than it used to be. There are ways to do it throughout the book, but it is much harder to do. Then the biggest thing is you still do the D3 damage at the end, and kind of like what we talked about earlier for the what mechanic was it? I'm already spacing for the burning. Yeah, the burning mechanic. Same thing with this. If they're diseased, they have to. If you heal, they just remove the disease. They don't heal. So it's good. It just takes time to build it up. Like, you're not really getting into heavy diseased units across the board until like turn 3, turn 4. So you kind of have to understand that going into it. I really, really want this mechanic to work because I think it would be really cool and fun. But I think it takes a little too long to get it going. So that's my take on the battle traits.
So, having played this army a few times now, it is the disease mechanic. The way I build the armies is basically essential, and yes, you get your 1 for the unit in combat, but the spell off of the Great Unclean One, getting it as well as trees. Yep. I mean, every little bit of extra disease that you can get on the board is so critical to this army performing.
Rotmire Creed's another one.
Yeah, and so you don't think about. Well, you don't look at this battle trait and go, this is the Horcrux to my army. But when you play them and you see how little damage you do without this disease, then you're like, oh my god, I need disease everywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You have to build into it for sure. And you can build into the disease pretty hard, but again, that's what you're focusing on. That's your main attack, is to do with the disease. And you don't have to build into disease. I just don't know how well off you are without doing it. So anything else, Cameron, on the traits?
Like the disease is the crux of this army. It's just hard to actually use the disease. And there are some armies which you will just never be able to use this on.
Yeah, like rock guts.
You go against rock guts, you will never be able to use this.
Yeah, it's real bad.
And that really sucks.
Yep. Battle formations. Okay, so some of these are bad. Some of them are decent. The Taliban's really good because it adds up mortal wounds. It is only from the second battle round on, which honestly, you're not gonna have a whole lot of things with disease first round anyway. But I do think the Affliction Cyst is really good. The reason I say that is you can take a reinforced pack of the Rotbringer flies and drop them. They still get to move in the movement phase, so you can get into anything you want to. It's really, really good, and they're really, really hard to kill. So that's probably my go-to, that or Taliban. I think the rest of them are not very good.
I would prefer Taliban, but I think Affliction is like the one everybody's going to take.
Yeah.
Like, I really want mortals just to be able to deal crap tons of damage.
Yeah.
It's just your army's already so slow, and to be able to get some of your guys be able to end combat first turn no matter what is pretty great. The other problem with the Affliction Cyst is that it also requires you to pretty much be able to take first turn.
Well, not only that, my biggest issue with the Affliction Cyst, I think it's a little bit of a trap pick, because your opponent can kind of play to this, right? They're gonna set up some screen or something, and sure, those flies will kill the screen. You'll be fine, and then your flies are up and ready to go for whatever they come back with.
Yeah, it puts the unit that you're there away from all of your other buff support.
Yep.
And I think that's the tough part.
Yep.
I think when I've seen this formation used to success, it was a 1-drop. I think it was, I don't remember what the hero was, but it was then 2 reinforced units of Blight Lords, and then 1 unit of reinforced Plague Drones. Because Blight Drones are like 500 points for a reinforced unit. And then they basically just take both units of Blight Drones,
so
put them outside of their opponents.
Yeah, you're doing
the same thing they did, where they pin you in.
Yeah.
With 8 Blight Drone or Blight Lords, turn 1.
Yeah.
And just do battle tactics with everything else.
Yeah, I mean that's a way to play it. I don't like it, but it's a way to play it. Yeah. All right. So that's the formations. Heroic traits, bad. I didn't like any of these. I think these are all terrible.
So there is
Grandfather Blessing on a Great Unclean one. That's about where I'm going.
Yeah, that's where it's at. You use that one, and it's good because you get to determine the order of operations in the end of turn. So you can, what he's in combat with, you put a disease on it, then you heal, and then you can do the mortal wounds to them.
Sure.
So it's pretty consistent healing, and a Great Unclean one's hard to kill. So
That's fair. He is pretty hard to kill.
Yeah, these all suck though. I'm not a fan. Like,
I don't know what to talk about.
I wish
The gift of Ferbrilli
I
Frenzy.
wish that was more than
25%
1
higher
inch.
movement
So
across
stupid,
the
man.
army.
Like, give me at least 2 inches. Jesus Christ, guys.
That's plus 50%. And many people would die for that.
Oh my gosh. It makes me sad inside.
it hurts me that overpowering stench was hit so hard.
Yeah.
That was such a good command trait.
It was probably too good, but what they did
that's
to
the
it,
problem.
What they did to it
now
now
it's
is
terrible,
yeah, now it's not good.
horrendously bad.
Yeah. Artifacts, these are fine. nothing crazy here. It's fine. Anything here? Like, these are fine. I'm not.
I do.
like,
I
none of
like the
these.
Wither Stave.
I do
just
too.
Because
I do too.
you're going to get charged because you're so slow.
Yeah.
It's just
Still on a 4-up.
It's how I build this. I build this army knowing that I'm being charged. I'm the army that's getting charged.
Yep. And we'll talk
Yeah,
about
'cause
a good combo of that later.
Your 5-inch move isn't going to get you anywhere.
4 inches. 4 inches.
Yeah,
Oh,
5. Yeah, get out
I'm
of
not
here. 5.
using my 25%.
Yeah, okay. Spell lore, Quagmire's good, little situational, but it's good. It's fine. The heal is fine. The unlimited heal, the -1 to wound is good. Also, obviously much different than the last Fleshy Abundance.
Yeah.
And then Bubo's is another situational spell. These are okay. Like, you're gonna cast these in certain situations.
My biggest gripe for this is there's almost no plus to casting in this army. They're all on 7s.
Yep.
Fleshy Abundance is probably the only one that I've ever found myself casting consistently, and the heal is really good, and subtracting from wound rolls is really good, and I wish I could cast it on a 6.
Yeah, I agree. I don't
Yeah.
know why this is on
Agreed.
a 7. I don't know why this is on a 7. Yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. All right, so we're going to the Hero Warscrolls. Now, I have looked at a lot of lists for Nurgle because I want to get something competitive out there, and I'm pretty shocked the amount of people that don't use Rodriguez. I really like this guy. First off, he's a +1 to cast. He's the only plus caster in your army. And I think his spell is the best spell in the entire book, which he doesn't have a whole lot to go off of, but it is really, really good. You're doing roughly 2d3 damage a turn. A turn with this, right? Like, I really like Rodriguez.
The only spell in the book that's better than Rodriguez is the one on the Great Unclean One. So that could be a reason why.
Yeah.
I think it's good, but you're never getting that one off. It's on a 7.
That is the problem. But so I look at Rodriguez and I agree, he is amazing looking. But when the army itself is so overcosted and you're looking at a quarter of your army into one unit, it's just hard to justify that on any level. Even the Great Unclean One at 480 is just like,
they're way overcosted.
Yeah, it's just so expensive.
He's 20 wounds at a 5-up board, and he pays a lot for that.
Well, Rodriguez is
Rodriguez is
22.
22.
Rodriguez is 22.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I really like Rodriguez. I'm going to try to make him work. I just really like him.
Have you tried the spell portal?
I have seen
I know it's
like
a
that.
sin because we're taking something that's not morbid,
Yeah,
but
right.
I see the spell portal actually being useful for the Great
So my issue with spell portal in this army, and the reason why I haven't done it for like the Great Unclean One, has been that I am like 2 casts. Maybe.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
And maybe 3 casts, but usually it's like 2 casts. And so
the only thing that's viable with a 2-cast army really is Kronspine.
Yeah, and so I'm taking the Incarnate because I don't want it. I want something to take care of the Morbid Conjuration that everybody else is taking.
Correct.
And that's where, that's really struggles, and that's why I like some of those cool tricks like Umbral Spell Portal. You just have a hard time.
Because that's what I see. You use the Great Unclean One, you summon the portal. Now you have a +1 to cast to make that disease.
Yep.
And so it's one of those things where you can get that disease first turn out on someone and start spreading that fast.
Why isn't Plague Wind an 18-inch spell? Can someone explain that to me? Like, really, guys? Come on.
Because you can only fart so far.
I feel like because you only get to pick one enemy unit, that it would be fine at 18 inches.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I think they're just really, really scared because the disease mechanic can't go away for a lot of things, that they're just so scared that it's going to get too powerful.
Well, look at the current win rate for Maggotkin and you'll be fine. It's not great. Yeah, so I like both Rodriguez and Great Unclean One. I see the the benefits to both. I just really like Rodriguez' spell. I really think it's good.
Also,
Articulous is gonna probably be in every list as well when we get.
Oh yeah, Articulous is my S rank right there. Just
yeah, he should be S rank. He really will be in pretty much every list.
why would you not take him?
so
He's like
good.
one of the two ways.
But I also
to
wouldn't
get
say
disease points. That's not the main mechanic.
I also would say Horticulous is not 150 points. He's actually 300 points. Because you're going to take a Beast of Chaos or a Beast of Nurgle no matter what.
So one quick thing, the Great Unclean One is also a reason I would take him over Rodriguez is because of his recursion but not because of Plague Bearers, and because of Plague Drones. Because then I can take a unit of 3 Plague Drones and get 2 Plague Drones back.
Yeah.
And
I still like the Blight Lords more than the Plague Drones in this edition, but
I do too. But when you have the choice of bringing back, so basically, if you look at Plague Drones as a unit of 5 Plague Drones versus 2 Blight Lords, because of this guy, that's not bad value.
Sure, I get it.
Horticulous is amazing, just amazing, and I could take him without Beast Nurgle.
Yeah,
the tree ability is so good. Being able to spread disease around by placing a tree, using the tree to block avenues, lanes that people can go down, just fantastic.
Here's my issue with the tree, though. You can only do it with 1, which is so stupid.
Oh yeah, because it's army lock.
Correct.
It's an
so
army
you
lock
can
ability.
only do the stupid tree disease move or mechanic on 1 unit, which is so stupid. The only thing that the tree's giving you is area.
Well, the thing is, though, your tree that you start with, it's got to be in your territory.
Oh yeah, so it's never going to do anything.
It's never going to do anything. So this is the only time the tree that he puts down is going to be the one that does something.
It just sucks, man. Like, come on, guys. Like, give me the trees. Let me make some disease happen here. Why is this a once per game or once per army ability? Like, come on, man. It just drives me insane.
Agree. I don't know why Spoilpox Scrivener is an A-. He needs to be like a D.
I like him, and the only reason I like him. Okay, so here, let's get this out of the way. Why in God's name is the Spoilpox and the Sloppy not lieutenants? Why in the world are they their own drops? That's why they're D tier. If they change that mechanic, Spoilpox and Sloppy are great. I think they're
better.
They're better. I do think you can get Plague Bears to be pretty dangerous in combat. It's just for 100 points, I think he's fine. Why is he his own drop? It just drives me insane.
It's if you think about it this way, if you accept the fact that you will never be able to choose first,
I guess.
They have a use.
I agree with you, and maybe not A-, but I don't put him in D tier. I still think he's useful. It sucks that he's his own drop.
I mean, he only buffs Plague Bearers, and Plague Bearers are bad. I mean, even buffed up Plague Bearers are bad.
I don't know. I think you can get them to work. I seriously think
it's a lot of wounds. That's my thing.
It is a lot of wounds, but the problem is not so much it's that people. If you look at the honor guard mechanic, a lot of people are going to take either the +1 Ren against infantry, or they're going to take the +1 to hit and wound versus something in your general's regiment. And because you're trying to keep your regiment so low, your Plague Bearers usually end up being in your general's army, who's your Great Unclean One, or Rodriguez, because they take demons. And so then you've got Plague Bearers in your general's regiment, and now they're +1 to be hit and wound, or +1 rend, and they just kind of explode.
That's your mistake, because the Spoilpox Scrivener it's not a lieutenant, so his own drop.
So you just put all the Plague Bearers in his unit.
You put the Plague Bearers in that one.
I do agree. I was looking at this, I was reading, I was like, man, you can make Plague Bearers pretty ugly, but you do have to put a lot into them, and I hate the fact that these are their own drop. I can't believe they did that to these guys. That's crazy. you have things like the Changeling that, are not, they are a lieutenant. They're not their own drop. Like I don't know, man. They did Spoilpox and Sloppy dirty on that. And then Poxbringer's a nope. Absolutely nope. It's just bad.
Yeah.
It's just real bad.
Move along.
Yep.
Not worth a drop.
No, not even close. Again, I put Sloppy in here because of going, I like the dude, okay?
Just accept you're never
Don't
going
hate
first.
me.
So,
I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I do like Sloppity and I do like Spoilpox. I just hate the way that they're their own drop.
I would have loved this guy. I would even have paid for a drop for him if his ability wasn't just one unit.
Oh,
Only
like a
being
bubble?
able to only if it was still a bubble
Yeah.
and it affected everything wholly within 12,
That's true.
I could be a
That's fair.
buyer.
That's fair.
Only one unit though, it's not worth it. He's not worth a drop.
I
He's not
agree.
worth
I
his
agree.
points.
It's not worth the drop. I agree. It just sucks. Makes me sad. Glotty is okay. I think he's a trap though. I think he's a trap.
He's a lot of points.
He's a lot of points and he's tough to kill. He's 24 wounds. He's gonna be hard to kill. My issue with him is his ability doesn't work unless he charges and makes that counter charge. I think he's a trap. I do think he's a trap. I like him, but I think I'm passing on him. I don't think I'm taking him.
I liked him better when his spell gave you +1 to wounds,
Yeah.
or to your wounds characteristic,
Yep.
which is now health. Yeah, the thing is, the army is just so expensive right now to justify bringing him.
Yeah.
If the whole army on whole was cheaper, and maybe he was a little cheaper, I think I could see it. I could see him in an army.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's a bad war scroll.
I don't think he's bad. I just think he's too expensive, and I'm just gonna do something else. I'm just gonna do things that are different.
Yeah. But the three Rot Lords are great. I love all three.
Yeah,
of
but
them.
one of them I'm taking over any of the other ones, though.
Blow
Blowout is so much better than the rest of them, I think.
So Blowout does give you a spell cast and a little ranged, but the autogrots on the next slide.
Yeah.
He's a little melee machine, and he's kind of quick. He's got a little punch, and that's kind of lacking in this army. Is something that can go in and potentially kill a unit on a charge, and that's why I like autogrots. So I could see interchange with those two.
Yeah. Morbidex is garbage.
Morbidex, I'm like, meh.
Like he's
Too
cool.
expensive.
Like he's cool because he'll stay alive, and he's cool
Yeah.
because he's like a Nurgling lover. But
They're
nope.
really suck.
Yeah, nope. That's gonna be a nope for me.
Yep.
I also Lord of Afflictions is now bad. He's just not good anymore.
Yep.
It's way too expensive. Way too expensive.
Move along.
I do like Gut Rot. I do like him. I think he's good, especially if you reinforce Blight Kings on a
Too
point.
expensive.
I know he's expensive, but man, he gets your freaking Blight Kings down the board rather than 4 inches at a turn.
That's why I'm taking. But you're just gonna take things that have movement instead of him because you're so points restricted.
He's also got a fight last ability. Like, I think he's fine. I think him.
He's got a use.
I have him, a reinforced Blight King unit, and the Lord of Blights in my list, and I drop him on a point somewhere, and I say, "Come at me, bro." And the other reason I do this too is to spread out their army, and try to get as much disease as I can, rather than going from the front. So that's the only reason I'm taking them. And plus, I really like Gut Rot, but he needs to go down like 20 points, I think. That's
It's
probably a
just
hot
hard.
take. This is a hot take, probably, and there's probably not a lot of people that like Gut Rot, but I like him.
Yeah, just not for 180 points. I feel like you're gonna take a Rot Lord. You're gonna take like a Lord of Blights, and just use the Lord of Blights to buff up your Blight Kings and just move them across the board. They're 4 inches and run them, and then they're gonna get charged because they're slow. But that's why the Lord of Blights makes them prickly, and
Right.
so you just kind of deal
Yep.
with it.
Yep.
They could be 5 inches.
Hey,
Oh my god.
hey, you take your 25%.
Yeah,
sir.
get it out of here. Like James said, Orgots is good. I still think I'm leaning towards the other guy more, but he's still okay. He's still fine. He has a 3-up save, so he's a little harder to kill. He's fine. He's okay.
Yeah.
I still
The
think I'm probably
saddest-
taking the wizard though.
The saddest one on this slide, that hurts my soul is
Harbinger
of Decay.
Oh my god, dude!
I just
Did
Yeah.
him
love-
dirty.
love the model.
200
give
points
us-
for this guy, by the way.
They give us a priest. They don't even give us a priest lore like prayers. They just give us the one on his war scroll.
Yeah, the one on his war scroll.
And I'm just like, how are you gonna do this guy so dirty?
And he's 200
Oh, it
points,
hurts.
man.
Yeah, it's just
Like, no way. There's no way.
he's not worth a drop. He's not worth 200 points. He's just his model's worth every penny of it because it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah, he's bad. He's bad. It's gonna be a no.
Lord of Blights is amazing.
Lord of
on
Blights
this
is
list.
great. He's really good.
Lord of Plagues, I could also see that too if you wanted to buff him up more, but usually you only have one lieutenant slot, and I'm going to take the Lord of Blights.
Me too.
So.
Same here. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Rodbringer is
Rodbringer's
bad.
Yep, we don't talk about him. We just.
So he could have been great if the spell lore wasn't garbage and so hard to get off. Like,
Or he was a lieutenant. If he was.
or if he was a lieutenant, yeah, I'd take either one of those.
You know, there's so many factions in 4th edition that were like, man, if only there were more lieutenants, they would actually be good.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
this book suffers the most from it. From every other index that I've gone over so far, this index is the worst as far as
Cruel Boys.
Oh, I haven't got there yet, but yeah. All right, moving on. Let's go into non-hero Warscrolls.
Yes.
Nurglings, you can just literally throw them in the garbage. Like, you can literally just
I-
pick up
I-
all
I-
your Nurglings and just throw them in the
feel like-
garbage.
I feel like your notes in here should say bad at 0 points.
Yeah, that's
Well,
true. That's true.
At the beginning of this, I went ahead and I looked at our scoring system.
Our tier list, I know these guys should be
and
like
on
F
there's
tier.
an
Yeah,
there's an F which is 0 to 5 never used.
Yeah, I know. It should
And
be
I
F.
think this deserves it.
Yeah. No, this is like the one unit in the entire game where it's like, this is the worst unit. It's bad. It's really bad. At 110 points too. Like, by the way, you can get 10 demonettes for 110 points. Just FYI.
Yeah.
And in those demonettes are faster, stronger, more health. No, wait, no, not more health. Technically, the Nurgles are more health and tankier,
Sure.
but the demonettes will kill.
They move
Anything to
faster.
touch.
They like. It's not even quite. Nurglings are bad. All right, we're moving on. Beasts of Nurgle are good. They do have the
Too
core.
expensive.
They are a little expensive, and they have the core rule ability, so you can't spam the ability. But secretly, they've got retreat charge, run and charge, all of that stuff, counter charge, like all of that stuff is built into the War Scroll, which is really nice. I do think you're going to see quite a bit of Beasts of Nurgle.
Yeah, I think they're like one of the techiest pieces in the game.
I do too. I think they're very good. I think they're
I think-
secretly very good.
If you drop them to 130, I could be a buyer, and at 120, I'm really interested.
Yeah, at 130, I think people are going to be taking like probably 4 of them. At 120, I think like people are going to spam the hell out of
Yes,
Uh,
these guys.
I agree, 100%. We're going to get into that same spam thing, which
Yeah.
is not fun to play against. Ask me.
It's going to be great too because you're going to sit down, you're going to look at your opponent, and he's going to have 18 Beasts of Nurgle.
that come
he's
back
gonna-
on a 3-up from Horticulous, and
and-
you're like, good game.
It's going to go ahead and go like, all right, you go first. His entire slug army moves forward, and they're like, huh, okay. And then it's going to be your turn. You're going to fight some of these guys, and then the entire slug army
This
is
is gonna
just going
keep
to
going.
get closer.
Yep.
And they're like, wait, it's my turn. It's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You
I
want,
would
you want to give me the turn? He's going to
You
double
can
turn
only
you,
do
and
it
the
once,
entire
though.
slug army.
You can
is going
only
to go
do it
ahead.
once, Camaron. You can't do it multiple times, but you can do it once. But the same premise is still there.
I also like plague drones. I think they're better than plague bears, and I say this because when you run them with the Great Unclean One, and you bring I only do them in like units of 3, but they do better for getting to objectives to hold them. They're a better screen, and if they die on the 4-up, you get 2 back. So essentially, for 180 points, you're getting 5 plague drones with the Great Unclean One.
Yeah.
And it's not. I'm not saying they're good
Yeah.
by any stretch.
They're
of the
not
imagination.
good. They are not
I
good.
would say they're better than plague
They're-
bearers, And you need some recursion in this list currently because of how point strapped you are.
I agree.
Mhm.
The Plague Drone ability too is garbage. Like I don't understand why you would
Oh, yeah.
ever put that on a War Scroll when they don't benefit anything from it. They have
Well-
retreat charge, but they literally don't. If anything, you're retreating to give the opponent a bonus. Like they're so bad.
I've used it only to not take mortal wounds on,
That's great. Fight
so that
great.
I can go get like
Literally
an objective.
Great. They're real bad, man. Plague Bearers, the only
They're
reason I have them higher is because you can give them more ways to. There's way more ways to buff Plague Bearers than there used to be. So that's
Yeah, but
okay.
they're bad.
I know. They're not
Light
great.
Lords are probably the best war scroll in this book right now.
And I think they're overcosted. 250 is way too high.
Yeah, but
They are
Right,
way.
they are the workhorse.
They are the workhorse. At 3 wounds, you can actually rally them.
Yep.
Which is like the big thing in my
They
opinion.
take buffs. Their buff guys are lieutenants, so you're not getting drops for them.
Well, you're only taking these reinforced. I can't see you taking these as
Yeah,
two.
so yeah, it's a 500-point unit.
It's just
but-
a lot of points, man.
Think of it this way: they're the same wounds, and on average, the same save and same ward as Rot Guts.
Yeah, they have a 3-up save. They have a 5-up ward.
Yep.
3 wounds each.
So it's 15 wounds compared to their 15 wounds.
They are very resilient. They're really good. They're just super slow.
They'll probably do a little bit more damage than the Rot Guts.
Yeah.
But they're also 80 points more. So
Right.
They are expensive. I wish they would go down maybe like 20 points. That'd be good. I think they're a little pricey. Just
I can see it.
a little pricey.
They're
Oh no, it's Blight Kings, not Blight Lords that I'm talking about. Never
Yeah.
mind, I got mixed up. Blight
Blight
Lords are
Lords.
okay.
They're too pricey.
They're a little pricey.
I think they're
Blight
too pricey.
Kings is what I'm talking about.
Blight
Oh, yeah.
Kings.
Actually, I think I'm talking about Blight Kings too.
Yeah, we're both talking about Blight Kings.
No,
Blight
the
Kings,
flies.
but
The flies are 250. They're too
Blight
expensive.
Blight
Lords,
Lords-
they're okay.
They're all right.
Blight Kings, I still think are a little too pricey, but they're pretty good. Like these guys are going to be hard to shift.
Yes, I love these guys.
10
no,
of these
I
guys. 10 of these guys is. You know what? They're probably.
I think
For
I think
400
Blight
points,
Kings are just at the perfect amount. Of,
Yeah, 200 points.
points
you're
they
probably
are.
Right. You're probably right.
Yeah.
You're
If they
probably
go any
It'll
farther
be
down, you're
spammed.
gonna have the same problem you have with Rot Guts.
right. Yeah.
there's so many other things in this book that need to go down in points before I think you look at Blight Kings.
The fact that you can get these guys to -2 rend on a point you control is pretty good. They're 4 attacks each, 3s, pretty good. They're pretty good.
Yep.
They lost a wound but gained a save, so.
I take that trade.
Yep.
Yep.
And they
agreed.
also lost an attack too. But yeah, they're good. Thank God they're not 250 points because that was way too
Yeah.
much.
Way too much.
Yeah, these guys are good. The biggest downside they have is they're slow. That's it.
25%?
I have 45 of them. I'd love to run them.
Rotmire Creed, we don't use. Fetulent
Oh no,
Novel.
I think Rotmire Creed is decent. I don't think it's bad.
I think they have a use at 130 points just for
Yeah,
the cover
just-
fire, give disease.
Yeah, give me
See,
disease.
I would be there too if it wasn't still a choice. I'm pretty sure that the ability on there says you can give it disease at the end of the turn. So it's either they give disease or something that's in combat with you gets disease.
Yeah, and that's why I say like first turn you can go ahead and actually have the possibility of giving disease on that first turn because you're going to move forward and shoot.
And then hopefully they're castled up
I think
to
they
give everything
move
else
5
disease.
and they shoot 12, don't they?
Yeah, so it's 18. You have an 18-inch range, so you'd have to
Hey.
be going second.
So you're not shooting them turn 1.
Oh
'cause-
yeah, you're right. That is 18.
Yep.
Yeah,
they'd probably go
but-
down because you can't get them in their round one. But I mean,
if I
you're-
could get them in there round 1, I'd say they have.
It's actually 17 because they move 5. So 5 at a 12-inch shot is 17.
I don't know. I'm doing that 25%. That's
25%. 25%.
You still don't get to shoot, but
So
you
dumb.
got an extra 25%.
So dumb. All right, moving on. Regiments Renown. Actually, there are some choices in here. If you need extra spell casting, maybe. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
Kevin, but probably not.
The only reason you look at Regiments of Renown is because they're cheaper than your own units.
The the Brand's Oathbound could be decent. The -1 attack spell is pretty good, but that's really it. Nothing else really is going to go.
I wish you could take the Shudderhood Regiment of Renown.
Oh yeah, great.
That's just cheaper than
your army.
Your own units.
Yeah. All right, so
and better ability.
So in conclusion, Tzeentch Artifacts also feel awkward. Army doesn't take debuffs well. Like, it's real bad to take -1 to hit and wound on these. Like we talked about earlier, you kind of have to figure out what mechanic you want to run in, and you have to really build into that. So if your goal is to do disease, then you got to really build into the disease mechanic. If your goal is to like pen, like you got to really build into that. Plague bearers or demons, like you have to really build into it. So you have to kind of build into whatever mechanic you're trying to do. They're still tanky. They're still super tanky. It's going to take a lot to get them down. But they do no damage. Practically no damage.
They have a huge point problem.
They have a huge point problem.
If Horticulus was not part of this book, I'd probably bring this up to like a D+. Bring this down to like a D+ to a C.
Yeah.
I think Horticulus is the backbone of this entire army.
Which I don't know how many games you guys have played with them. It's really tough to get that other tree with the stipulations that you have to set it up. Like, it's tough. 3 inches away from everything is really not great. It's hard to set up that second tree.
You just use it to attempt to get one disease point.
I know.
On something.
And it's still on a 4-up too. It's like,
yep. And if you get that disease point on something, it's at the end of every turn. Thankfully, it's the disease point on something. You then immediately spread it, and then if you get that first turn, like, you are gold. It's a risk. That's a risk I'm willing to take.
Yeah.
I would put these guys at C tier, maybe D tier, as they are now. Like, even with Horcrux, it's just not there. They need their buff heroes. They're not getting. They need points reductions that they're not getting.
Like crazy.
The spells need to be cast on 6s instead of 7s. The artifacts are kind of underwhelming. The mechanic itself, spreading diseases, is difficult. There's not enough ways to do it. There's just so much against these guys right now. And I love this army. I still play this army because I love painting them and building these models. But there's just too much against them for me to put them in B tier.
Yep.
I would say C-, honestly. C-.
And you know what? I ranked the other people based off the average player, and I'm ranking these guys off of the good players. I would agree with you. The average player, it's like C-.
Makes me so sad, man. It feels like they wrote this book early in the 4th edition thing, and they're like, man, these guys are going to be so good. We're gonna
what? I think that's exactly
we're going to point increase the shit out of them, and then now we get to it, and like, they are so overly costed. It is crazy.
They what they probably did is they were like, all right, they made Stormcast, and then they made Skaven, and they're like, all right, we want these guys to be really good. And this disease mechanic, it's going to destroy Stormcast really well. So let's go ahead and balance them off of that.
Yeah.
And then they just completely ignored that for every other faction.
What did you want these at, Cameron?
I'm putting it at C- for the average player.
Damn, C- is rough. Oof. Poor Nurgle, man. Poor Nurgle.
B for a competitive good player.
I love you guys.
I could see James doing very, very deadly with him.
Yeah, but I'm not taking these guys right now.
Well, you're definitely not. You're not taking these to Worlds. I take these to
my casual, my Monday club meetups. I take Nurgle so that I can play the new guys and show them how to play and how their army works. And then when I go to a tournament or something, I am not taking these guys.
Yeah, it makes me sad.
Oh, fair.
Cool. That's it. That's all we got. There's us at Old Town Throwdown. All right, so that's it. So next week we're doing we finish out Chaos with Skaven and Slaves, which should be good. Two pretty big, decent books. So we should be a good show. Yeah. Anything else from you guys? Go Cameron.
4 Nurgle.
Go Cameron
4
for
4
Smite.
Nurgle.
I would say if there's anybody new players watching this, be careful of we talked up Tzeentch and Slaanesh, and they're very good armies, and their models are great as well. They look gorgeous, and if you still want to get into them, I would say do it, but just realize they are some very, very hard armies to play.
Correct.
You get a good point. I think all the armies we did today are not new player friendly.
So
I think Nurgle is.
think
I just don't think you
it's
can't
just
expect to
pointed
do
bad.
well. You just can't expect to do well with them.
Yeah,
They're an easy
think-
army, but they're just
I think a new player is going to have them right now, and then they're going to have a bad time.
yeah, maybe.
But I think that's a points issue. It's not like a mechanics issue. Like I think Tzeentch and Slaanesh
Mechanics.
just play so like Slaanesh is so on the edge, and then Tzeentch is so controlling that you really have to have a deep understanding of the fundamentals of the game.
Yeah, I agree.
That's fair. I think a new player would be able to learn how to play Nurgle fairly easily.
They're just not
I
going
don't
to do
think
well.
a new player is going to do well
Correct.
at all and not have a fun time with Nurgle, though.
I agree. All right.
All right.
We will see you guys next week on the Slaves Skaven Show. Till then,
Bye-bye.
have a good week.